So you thought the sequester wouldn't hit the wealthy. Well, you were wrong. Obama hits the wealthy on the runway, with air traffic control tower cuts happening via the sequester. For the most part, the super wealthy are not directly affected by the cuts to government services. Private security, private schools, private money have their way of sort of blunting the impact of austerity. But the Obama administration is hitting the rich in one place that hurts the most: on the runway. Sequester-related budget cuts has led to the closure of 149 air traffic control towers across the country. The Federal Aviation Administration announced last week that the decision strikes the type of small airports that sort of tailor to the well-heeled that rely on their corporate private jets to get around. And what looks like an effect to galvanize the 1% to exercise their considerable political influence to help end the sequester. The congressional attempts to sort of stray off the cuts to the airports have failed. Senator Jerry Moran, Republican from Kansas, who rebuffed last week when he tried an amendment to amend legislation to assure that the extra $50 million be allocated to preserve private plane travel. So he's not the only one who's guilty of sort of advocating for the sequester cuts not to affect the private airports in their district, or the small airports and districts that sort of, behoove private jet owners. Because Michelle Bachmann was also at it when she said, "I am deeply disappointed with the FAA's decision to close the air traffic control tower at the Alcano County Blaine Airport and the St. Cloud Regional Airport." Referring to a move that, is a trouble. She's referred to the move as a troubling lack of priorities. Now, is that a lack of priorities for the American people, Michelle Bachmann, or is that a lack of priorities for the millionaires and billionaires that continue to fund your maniacal ideal of a campaign? I think it's more so the latter and not the former. She's not the only one. Senate Minority Whip, John Cornyn said the following on Twitter: "Seems strange to fly from Austin to Houston east just to get to Midlands to Odessa west. Oh well," because his private jet travel has been limited thanks to the sequester. So this is interesting, and this is interesting for a couple of reasons, folks out there in Fowler Nation. It's been interesting for a couple of reasons. One, because millionaires and billionaires push for this sequester. They thought this was a great idea because they could stop Americans from living off the government, or the 47% from mooching off the government. What they didn't realize is like we've been saying all along on this side of the aisle, that, hey, the government spends money on a lot of things that everybody in this country benefits from, even the rich private jet owners, because your plane can't take off if there's not an air traffic controller to get you up in the air. So the $50 million cuts that went to the FAA are now affecting you, because 149 of your rich millionaire and billionaire airports have now been shut down. Good for you. If you want to change that, use your influence as the 1% to go out there and force change. Get the congressman to do something about it. But I need you to do something. Now that you've watched this video, and now that you know the millionaires and billionaires are suffering because of the policy that they impose on themselves, I need you to subscribe to this YouTube clip. Therefore, we can always fight against millionaires and billionaires every single solitary day here at the Fowler Show.